Hi, I'm Alison, and this is the weekly English practice from English Coaching Projects. As you'll see from the title of the article, The Right to Die, we're not dealing with a light-hearted topic this week. Last month, Spain introduced a new law regulating the practice of euthanasia and what's called assisted suicide. And now, you have the right to ask to end your life. However, there are a few conditions. You must be suffering from a serious or incurable disease, or otherwise serious chronic or incapacitating condition. You have to make a request in writing, explicitly stating that you wish to end your life. You must also have received full information about your condition and all the alternatives available to you. Then, two medical professionals who are uninvolved in your case will be asked to make a decision about whether you get to live or die. And finally, a regional commission of 7 people decide whether their decision is the right way to go. So now some patients who are suffering tremendously might be able to end their own life legally. But it's not going to be easy, and some regions may make it more difficult than others. So have a look at the article and remember to talk about the questions on page 1 with your friends, family and your ECP coach. And you can even send us your voice using WhatsApp. That's all for this week. Bye! The right to die. Spain has become the 5th country in the world to regulate the practice of euthanasia. Patients in agony will now be able to end their suffering, but not without red tape. About a month ago, Spain became one of the first countries in the world to regulate euthanasia, joining the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg and Canada. The law was put forward by the Socialist Party, governing in coalition with leftist Unidas Podemos, and will come into force in 2 months. In order for people to request that their life be ended, the affected person must suffer a serious or incurable disease or a serious, chronic and incapacitating condition which causes them intolerable suffering. The legislation covers euthanasia, the direct administration of a substance by the relevant medical professionals, as well as what is known as medically assisted suicide, the prescription or supply to the patient by a medical professional of a substance in a way that this can be self-administered to cause their own death. Unlike other laws in force elsewhere, Spain's legislation sets out a series of steps that could cause the process to take up to a month from the moment the patient makes the request. This begins with a written request submitted twice over the space of 2 weeks. In it, the patient must express their clear will to end their life, and they must have been provided with information about their medical condition and the alternatives that are available to them. Once the process has begun, the patient may change their mind at any time, and once they have received authorization, they can delay its application as long as they want. Once the second request has been made, the patient's doctor must pass the request on to the corresponding regional commission, which will appoint 2 professionals with no connection to the case for its analysis. The commission, consisting of at least 7 people, including medical, legal, and nursing experts, will then have 19 days to approve or reject the decision reached by these 2 specialists. The bill was passed with 202 votes in favour, 141 against, and 2 abstentions. The coalition government has a minority in Congress, and therefore had to seek the support of other parties in order to pass the bill. Among the opponents to the legislation were the Conservative Popular Party, the Navarrese People's Union, and far-right Vox. These groups argue that this legislation will effectively legalise murder and would prefer a palliative care law instead, but have failed to actually present a draft of such a law. Needless to say, Vox swiftly announced its intentions to appeal the new law in the Constitutional Court and to repeal it should the party come to power. Meanwhile, supporters of the law suspect that biases held by the regional commissions could end up making it difficult to receive the requested assistance in some places, and assure that their work on this issue is not yet done. Here are this week's questions. What's the difference between euthanasia and assisted suicide? What arguments exist in favour of or against these practices? How do you feel about the new law? Do you think most of the world's countries will pass similar laws soon? Why? What would a palliative care law consist of?